So, hello, Perttu. How are you?
Oh, it's an interesting week. We are going to the first real big tour with the new album, and it's of course exciting.
Oh, brilliant,
Very, very,
brilliant, brilliant.
yeah,
So, those that are new to this show, this is Perttu from Apocalyptica, the cello player. Yes, indeed, the classic cello. I saw you guys in Soundwave years ago in Sydney. Would have
yeah.
been 2009, 2010, maybe. I don't know, some time ago. It felt like a forever ago.
That must have been a long ago, yeah. Because last time we were there, we played like a Sydney Opera.
Yeah,
I think it was with the previous Plays
yeah.
Metallica tour we did around maybe 18 or something like that, or
Yeah, and it was
19.
hot, man. It was bloody hot.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're on tour with this new. This the new album is Metallica Volume Two. This is a follow up from your very first album that you did, isn't it? So this is like the part two, way back from 1993. Is that right? Or around that time?
Yeah, actually, the first album was released 96, but we did
96.
start, yeah, we did
Mm.
start already earlier, like, but in the very beginning of this group, we had no plans of actually forming a group. We were a bunch of friends who wanted to play the music we loved, and it happened to be thrash metal and Metallica especially. So that is kind of the origins of the band that we started for ourselves for fun, and then performed to friends in the parties, and then in the school parties, and then
Yeah.
eventually in one Christmas event where we finally got the record deal for the first album, and then it was a free fall after that.
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
way, we're still here, but I think it's pretty amazing after nearly 30 years of doing this that we went back to the roots, to that feeling why we started to do such a crazy thing with the cellos.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course Metallica is always like, we have been actually thinking for long already that there still were so many favorite tracks that we never played, that was one of the main reasons why I still always planned that we have to make the album number two, to play all those, Blackens and Ride the Lightnings,
Oh, it's which
really
is my favorite, by
classic
the way. Yes,
songs. So,
yeah, brilliant. Because
yeah,
Ride the Lightning is my Metallica era. That's my album. That's my favorite Metallica album. And this is a, I mean, this is a. I was listening to it only this morning, and uh, what I love about your stuff is that it's so. How do I describe it? Being classical, it seems to sit really comfortably in the heavy metal um genre so well. It's like I don't know how you do it. You just marry it so well because I'm sure um there must have been times where you went, oh, where do we go with this? Like, because it's you don't even got
yeah.
flashy lead guitars. You've got it's all your classical instruments, and you bring such power and passion that you get from metal into the classical realm.
Yeah, it is actually indeed a very, very fascinating thing to, like I mentioned, that in a way it was an accidental concept because we were classically trained
Yeah.
cellists who happened to like metal music too. So we had to kind of find our way to approach the rock music with a very unconventional instrument. But then ever since, it has been all the time learning more and more, I think. And I would guess that the best way of describing this Plays Metallica Volume 2, that we were able to go back to the teenage years in a
Ah,
spirit, like bringing back the fandom of Metallica and that
yeah.
music. But now, after 30 years of doing this, we might be a little bit more experienced, maybe, and like, have more skills and knowledge about all the gear. So I would say that this is made with the same teen spirit, but maybe more mature experience and talent,
Yeah,
hopefully.
oh well, no.
So,
How was it playing with James Hetfield and Rob Trujillo? How was it? Was it a bit of like a fanboy thing? Did you find yourself going, "Oh my God, it's James Hetfield"?
of course, there's always that unbelievable respect and admiration towards those guys, but they have, ever since the start, they actually have been, in a way, like acting like as mentors or big brothers, and like we got an insanely good support since the
Oh,
start, actually.
brilliant.
Like they accepted us into their circle and kind of always gave hints, always invited us to play with them. And therefore it feels like, of course, as a wonderful circle closer moment that they actually do appear in our album with their music. And I think that we were able to find very interesting approaches for their appearance. And for example, James speaking the poem is for us and also for him much more interesting new take than there was absolutely even no question that why would he sing the same song he did,
yes, of
which
course.
is one of the most classic songs, metal songs of all time. So we tried to really find a new way of approaching these things. And whenever Apocalyptica makes a version, we want to honor the original song, of course. It has to be recognizable, but we also want to sound ourselves. So it is very important that we are not kind of just copy-paste doing something.
No, exactly. Yeah.
For all those songs, actually, we did like 15 to 20 versions of different songs, but these songs were now what we selected to the album. They probably represented the best that you could hear still our band's impact and influence on that. But of course, the process of James ending up with the album was funny because we didn't even actually think that he would be up to it. It didn't cross our minds. But we always approach them if we have an idea that we ask kind of a permission or how do they feel if we would once again do something like this. And then we have to tell that, okay, for one, actually, I have this idea that there would be a narrator, that this time no singing vocals, but rather let's tell the impressive, very emotional story of the soldier, like as a poem. And then explaining like that we kind of had in mind people like Mats Mikkelsen or someone like that, Ron Perlman, somebody with a very, very cool voice. And James was like, yeah, but why didn't you ask me?
Yeah, I wrote it.
Yeah, and then we heard this and then, oh wow, okay, cool, of course. You are more than welcome, and you are actually the dream come true in that sense. But it really felt amazing because that kind of course feels like a huge respect also from their side to us. And same thing a little bit with the Rob, that for example when he heard that James is going to take part of the album, he said that, yeah, I want to play that one as well, so I'm going to fly to LA now just to track that
because they do two versions of one on the album. You do two versions of one, which is pretty amazing because you get a fantastic one, then you get another fantastic one. So
yeah.
And how did you feel? Like some names are like Dave Lombardo on drums in Blackened. That's pretty big. That's another big one.
That's a big one.
He's one of my heroes.
Mine as well. He's one of the most fascinating metal drummers of all time. But I had to go a little bit back in time because actually Dave is the reason why we implemented drums into the bands in a first hand. So basically, we could say that Dave was even the first drummer of Apocalyptica.
Yeah.
And we were playing in some festivals together, a couple of Slayer covers already like 99 long ago. But when we were doing our fourth album, Reflections, I think it was 2003, Dave had given us his number and just like mentioning that if we ever would like to work with a drummer or need a drummer, just give him a call. And with that album, we actually ended up doing that. Dave recorded 5 tracks in his garage, and we got the first drums into Apocalyptica music. And after that, we kind of always wanted to have Dave participating on one song in each album, and he did so many tracks ever since. And for this album, because Blackened is one of my absolute favorite Metallica tunes, I was also thinking that this could be the cool, funny little thing that Dave playing Lars and kind of challenging for those fastest, the double kicks. And so it was a really, really cool nod, and Dave has been always very willing of doing at
Oh, that's
least
really
that one
good.
song for us. And
Because
yeah,
you always,
he's
I've always read he's such a nice guy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
yeah,
all,
he's fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also like also read because I literally I went into this album when I first was like listening to it without any preconception. I didn't want to know who was on what was what. I just wanted to listen to the album and go through like the tracks. Like it's a really interesting lineup. You've got Right of the Lightning, Saint Anger, The Unforgiven 2, Black Call of Cthulhu. Now that one was pretty interesting for me because I read that you used Cliff Burton's bass master track for that. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's the original
That
recording
is
of
unbelievable.
Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and actually Eikka made that arrangement and got the crazy idea of like, what if we build up the arrangement on top of Cliff, and kind of we of course had to ask for permissions from Burton family and
Mm.
all of that paper war, but they were really really supportive into it, and actually whole Metallica, starting from Lars, they were like, wow, that's it beautiful, it's such an honor for that's what we wanted to do, like the major homage for the Cliff Burton, who is, we don't need to tell anybody who he
No,
is.
no,
He's
that's exactly
one
right. He's
of
the
the most
big,
innovative,
amazing. Yes.
amazing creators of certain kind of metal based sounds and all. And then isolating the track and actually
Oh,
listening to it all the way, how he's using whammy effects
yeah.
and the very challenging playing. And when we started to play on top of that, it felt like spiritual. It
Yeah,
was
would be.
incredible. I had tears, not once or twice, but many, many times while on studio, thinking of that and kind of having this feeling that this is so unbelievable. There are no words of describing how it feels to kind of make music with Burton, reacting to his things. And
Oh,
I was imitating many things for the leads, for my solos, kind of how he played. Because the funny thing is that Burton kind of thought he's solo bassist. He didn't play the typically
no, he didn't.
you
No.
stay in a low notes all the
Yeah.
time. No, he was all the time doing leaks, cool passages and stuff.
Yeah.
And to reflect those in the studio, it was really fantastic. And actually, we got the approval also to use that tape in a live show, which is another
Oh,
wonderful aspect,
brilliant.
that I still can bring, Burton to the stage, and we have like a little homage video of him behind, and so he is really present on on the hall,
Oh,
and that is for us all who love the dude and love his
yeah. Oh,
legacy and
goosebumps.
music.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, it is a goosebumps, and I hope that people will reach the same kind of a feeling that we had, because it's like so much love and respect towards all of this, towards their music and the historical things. And that's what we try to do. We bring our own little color to something that is phenomenal already, and
Yeah.
we
I think that
we pray that we don't ruin it.
no, by no means. I mean, I listened to this, and you did not ruin it at all. Like the thing about a really, you're one of the best at it. That when you have a band that pays tribute to another band, I don't say tribute band because it's the wrong thing, but you pay tribute to that band. Sometimes
Yeah.
the best of those people like yourselves, you bring a little bit of yourself, you sprinkle a little bit of your Apocalyptica magic in there. So you, even though
Mhm.
you're listening to say, I don't know, let's say the Four Horsemen, right? You still know it's you, you know? You still know
Yeah.
it's Apocalyptica, right? And I think that's the magic. Like you said before, it's like we want to put a little bit of ourselves. We're not just a note for note,
Mhm.
heads down, copy, move on. There's a real sense
Yeah.
of love and movement in it, I think.
Oh yes, and Four Horsemen, as you mentioned, it's an exciting arrangement as well, because we actually hid a lot of like hints from great other songs. There are little elements from Unforgiven 3, some stuff from Day That Never Comes, Until It Sleeps theme in some of the Glockenspiel,
Oh,
or
yes.
bells going. So that kind of things, they are very interesting when you do start to do arrangements, because you also, in a way, we are the slaves of the original masterpiece, but it's important to bring your own vision in there, and therefore it's a fascinating puzzle, because they do have so much incredible songs, and they still would have probably material that we could easily make the Plays Metallica Volume 3 one day. So so it's a lovely playground to start to combine elements, try to think that how we can do, because naturally one of the biggest challenges in working with Apocalyptica, especially when making covers of vocal songs, is that we don't have those vocals.
Yes.
We don't have the obvious way of telling the story. So we need to somehow translate it into a symphonical, interesting instrumental that would carry through all the length of the songs and still maintain the grip and the excitement of the listener. But I always loved instrumental music as well, because when you don't hear the vocals or text, it also releases your mind.
No, I agree. I love instrumental music.
Different specters and worlds, dimensions. But yeah, when covering Metallica, the absolutely biggest challenge would be probably how can you replace, how can you play Hetfield's amazing vocals with the cello, which
but you do it so well.
If I just yeah, but you need to I need to often put some interesting harmonies there to support the melodies, maybe tweak, change, alter the melodies a little bit. For example, in Blackened, I approached some of the vocal parts almost like a guitar solos, actually, that I'm still playing the recognizable Blackened melody, but adding a lot of leaks in between to kind of make it instrumentally more musical, maybe.
I mean, I listened to the album, as I said, and again this morning, and I didn't miss. I mean, I always missed. I love his voice and his lyrics. But I didn't miss it on this album. You know, it was good music to, and I don't get this wrong, to do things with. But I was busy doing stuff. It was playing. It was keeping me company. I really enjoyed that. I could just go because choosing what you put on an album must have been hard, because like I said, there's so much Metallica that you love. Trying to think, you know, like I said, you got Call of Cthulhu, you know, To Live and to Die is to Die, One. I mean, Saint Anger. I would never expected a Saint Anger on there, because you know,
that's another. We definitely wanted something else from like a more modern era, even that is an old song already, but like not only to play the 80s one. And Saint Anger actually was a great challenge, because of course there always was a great controversy and everything. It divides people. I personally think that actually it's a great song. But we wanted to have the funny thing is that we definitely wanted to honor also the very, very famous snare sound. But we didn't want to repeat it only typically with the snare or even barrels. So we were seeking for a cool approach for it. And it was purely accidental that I was in one very late night working on actually with the Holier Than Thou ending solo with Joe Barresi, our producer. So we put like absolutely all amps and stomp boxes and stuff, all the effects he had there to create some kind of cool mayhem in there. And I was really tired, and I started to just like clap the cello or something. And suddenly we heard it, stop it. Oh, this is the Saint Anger snare sound. So change the song. We found it finally.
Oh, brilliant.
And then was ding, ding. I was actually banging my bridge of the cello, which created through those cabinets and all, it created really cool simulation of the Lars snare. And I think it's a very, very hats off moment from ourselves.
Oh, brilliant. You know? Don't you love how most art like that is accidental? You're doing one thing and then poof, it just turns and it's done. Sorry, quick record.
Exactly.
Fantastic. And where are you touring with the album with now? Where are you?
Now we go to, this is like 2.5 months in Europe, 53 shows before December, I think. A lot. It starts though in Dubai. We go very first time to Emirates, but then basically all the European countries, and we are very, very much awaiting for this show because the audience is warm already. They know these songs, they love it, hopefully
Brilliant.
as much as we do. So I'm sure we can create some really cool magic together. And Australia, I hope that we can make space or find a proper tour for there
Oh, I'd
for
love
you
you to
guys as
come.
well. I
Yeah, brilliant.
always loved being there. So
And when on the in the live set, not to give it too away to the fans that might be watching, but are you going to mix some of your own stuff into the lineup? Obviously, because the album's only relatively, it won't fill a whole concert.
no,
So
actually, the whole concept is now Metallica, but we
right,
do play
okay,
other Metallica
of
songs as
course.
well, all like Sandman's and Bell For Whom the Bell Tolls and
Oh,
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So all of it will be. It's a nearly 2 hour show. It's pretty heavy, but they have too much cool songs.
Yeah,
Like
you can't exactly. Which one do you choose? It's like doing Iron Maiden. It's like, where do I go?
yeah, exactly. Whatever you choose, it's working and almost in whatever order. And but also we made new arrangements to all the other songs, like from first album,
Mm.
and what surprises we might have, like a very ambient, almost like a middle tape of approach for Until It Sleeps all of a sudden, because I
Oh,
felt like that's a cool moment that we start the show with 30 minutes of brutal thrash and then we needed something, more calm and mellow there. So we rearranged absolutely everything for this tour, which was another challenge because you played Master of Puppets certain way, maybe 1,500 times, and now I had to change it all. but uh,
oh. Yeah, but that's
but
the
it's
thing, isn't
cool.
it? That's good for the fans because those that are
Oh
new will get
yes,
something new, and those that have been before will get something new.
yeah.
It's pretty good. And I mean, before we finish up, I've always wanted to ask you this because your instruments that you play, like very rare guitars, they're expensive. They're personal to you. That cello that you have is, I'm sure, very personal to you. Do you ever worry when you're traveling with it when it's in cargo? Because I mean, it's a classical
Oh
instrument.
yes, of course. It is a classical. We do use like a modern Chinese factory-made cellos because of they sometimes even might break. So
Mm.
we can't really use the expensive classical good instruments. But my heaviest cello is very carefully selected, and it's like actually perfect for this. And when you amp it, put the microphone to the bridge and stuff,
Mm.
the acoustic quality of the cello actually disappears. It has to have a maybe a little less resonance
Oh,
comparing to all
yeah,
those Stradivarius,
yeah.
because sometimes those instruments they start to be boomy and not very clarified. But yeah, I do love my heavy cello, and I have been with this instrument for a long time, and I just hope that it won't break because I love to
No, well, just
torture
not.
it.
Yeah, because when I saw you guys, I said it at Soundwave in Sydney, you really did move around the stage. First, people that have big instruments, there's a lot of movement in your live act. You're not just sit there in chairs and
Yeah,
there's
it's
movement. Yeah, which is brilliant. I love it.
yeah,
So
I
I'm
think it's the I never really never really considered it. It's rather just the music that takes you with, and then I kind of lose lose the realization where we are, what we are doing. But that's the best part of playing music, that you can actually really travel somewhere to the depths of your mind and
oh
just
yes,
let the
yeah.
music guide you.
Yeah, you're very lucky, very talented people, very talented. So I hope you do come to Australia soon, and I hope that the album and tour does really
Yep.
well. It's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you for giving me your time.
Okay.
I absolutely loved this album. It's I just was like, oh, as I said before, cover a tribute's always hard to do and add your touch to it, and you did that really well in this album. So I loved it,
Thank you,
and I
sir.
was so surprised by Hetfield's. I was not expecting that to come on, and I was like, oh, stop! What am I
Oh,
doing?
whoa.
It was really, really
Yeah,
good.
that's really emotional. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. And thank you very much for coming on. Yeah, good luck with the tour. Good luck with the album, and I hope
Yes,
there's a
sir.
Metallica Volume 3 coming up.
Yeah,
You
let's
never
hope
know,
for
right?
that.
You never know.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Bye for
See you
now.
down under.
See you down
Yeah.
under. Bye
Yeah.
now.